Hello, this is John with Turning the Page, and this week I am joined by Chris. All you need is love, especially if you need a tattoo down in Brunswick, Maryland.
They're getting better, though, by the way.
What's that?
They're getting better. The puns are getting better. I love it.
American Tattoo down in Brunswick, Maryland. If you need a tattoo, call up Chris. He will be happy to add you to his appointment. You do have to set an appointment, though. They do not take walk-ins.
Or all the other amazing folks that I work with there.
Exactly. So before we get started, don't forget to LCS, like, comment, and subscribe to the Brainstorm Comics and Gaming YouTube channel. You can do that by clicking on the bottom right-hand corner on the logo, and you'll be taken to the subscribe button. But let's get started this week by a topic I'm pretty sure you and I are going to disagree on.
100% probably, yeah.
Jonathan Kent has taken over a major role in the DCU. He's taken over as Superman as he is becoming incapacitated. That's happening in Superman, Son of Kal-El. However, it came with a little bit of controversy as he ditched the truth, justice, and the American way in favor of truth, justice, and for a better world. And what are your feelings on that change?
I'm sure they're not as passionate as your feelings. I can guarantee that. My first reaction was like, it's about time, honestly. I think that phrase, the truth, justice, and the American way, is very dated. And
some would say iconic, but continue.
I mean, okay, you can say iconic, sure. But like, I think in today's climate, in today's world, it doesn't make as much sense as like for a better world. I think overall, like, Superman was never about like, we're just gonna save Metropolis or just save the Americas, like.
But I don't think that was the point of it. I think that's one of my problems with what they're doing, what they're kind of doing with it, and that's that I don't feel like he was only about America. I think it was more like the ideals on which the country was founded and things like that.
But I also think that like the quote unquote American way is like, how do you quantify that? What is the American way? Like,
well, like I said, I think it was more about the core principles of equality and freedom and things like that. But
I think it's still covered under a better world. You know what I mean? I think it's a little more encompassing.
But okay, so here's my first issue. So a lot of people are saying that, oh, this, like you said, it's about time. Clearly, this was not about anything like that, though. This was more a corporate decision. Like, hey, if we're going to start promoting these movies in China, they're not gonna like that American way thing. We're gonna have to either edit that out or come up with something more that would play in a country like that is not as.
It does feel like a slightly political kind of move.
Oh, I don't even think it's political. I think it's corporate.
Well, corporate / political to me, and I don't like that. Like, I definitely feel like you should keep like politics out of comics, unless that's the comic. And if you want to read politics and comics, there's a million of them to read. And
then my other thing is, like, some people like to take it as a slight. They're like, oh, well, the American way is about what they did to the Indians and or Native Americans and things like that.
Indigenous people.
What's that? Indigenous people.
Yeah.
But clearly, he's supposed to represent the better part of the country and its ideals, not.
But can he represent like the better part of the world's ideals?
And that's fine. But like I said, this is an iconic.
No, he's ours.
Well, as I said, to me it's an iconic statement, and
I agree with you. It is totally an iconic statement.
Yeah. Now, I will also say though that I did some history digging on it, and apparently the first time it was uttered was on the radio show, which is what I thought before I even looked at
which was 40s, 30s?
44. 44 is when it was first said on there. The first time Superman ever said it apparently was in the Superman film, the first one, in 1978. And also something else I didn't realize, because I wasn't reading comics during like a 5-year period. In Action Comics 900, Superman had renounced his citizenship. Now I didn't dig into why that was in the storyline, but I'll have to do that later. So like I said, I mean, there have been changes and such to it before. And apparently, I think they said there was like a 6-year gap where they didn't use it at all between radio and.
Yeah, I don't think it's one of those things that he's been like spouting off regularly for a long time. But I still feel like you're right, it is super iconic. Like, people are always going to remember that statement. But I feel like it is way more inclusive and kind of more all-encompassing with the whole better world.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't necessarily have a problem with the phrase, like, but to me, I don't see anything wrong with the initial one, and I feel like it was more like a corporate decision to make it more palatable for.
Yeah. Also, and I might be like talking out of turn because I like will fully admit that I don't really read Superman at all. But it seems like Kal-El is trying to be a different kind of Superman.
So this is the other part that kind of made me laugh, was the fact that he's becoming more interventionist, which is one of the things that people did not like about the American way of the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. And don't get me wrong, there was a large isolationist sentiment as well. But, starting with World War II in the 1940s, the country became more interventionist. And like I said, that's one of the things that is held against the country. In terms of, like, there's a lot of people who say, like, it was more like an empire at that point as we expanded more in our influence and such. So,
yeah. We can just blame it on Damien. Blame everything else.
Well, Damien did instigate
it. on Damien. It's fine. He's a jerk anyway. It's cool. Let's blame it on Damien.
But I will say that I was happy to see the interaction between Damien and
yeah, I did like I did read a couple of those pages there that were on one of the articles I read, and I it might make me read that book.
Yeah, maybe. Tom Taylor's writing it, so he's one of the top tier guys right now. Sure. He's getting ready to do Dark Ages for Marvel. He's doing Nightwing, which is quickly becoming
super good run.
People's
super good
favorite.
Run. Yeah.
But like I said, we'll agree to disagree on the.
That's cool.
Truth, justice, and
a better world.
Whatever you choose. So we'll turn the page on that topic.
So salty.
Look here. He's my favorite character.
That's cool, man. You can have him.
So we'll turn the page on that topic.
Before this gets any worse.
Before we get to the next one, don't forget to visit our 2 locations. We have one in Frederick, Maryland. If you're looking for a cool day trip, it's a smaller store, but there's a lot of great things in the surrounding area there. Restaurants, candy stores, retro stores, and one of Chris's favorite, record stores.
Yeah, Record Exchange.
And if you're looking for back issues, I would highly recommend you go to the Walkersville location. We have about 100,000 comics there.
So many.
Will take you hours and hours to go through even half of them. And there's more parking in the Walkersville location if you're not looking for a day trip. Right. But let's move on to topic number 2. One of the hottest books on the shelves right now is Department of Truth. It speaks to a lot of the things going on within the country, within people having their own bubbles of whatever, whatever they want to think about things.
Whatever conspiracy theory you want to believe in.
Exactly.
It's there.
Written by James Tynion IV, who is quickly becoming if not a top writer, the top writer in comics right now. Like, he's
don't say that.
You don't think so?
I mean, I think he's great, but I don't. Yeah, I feel like when we start super hyping everybody up,
they fall.
Yeah, let's just leave him be and let him do his thing.
The most popular writer in comics. Recently, the 6th printing hit the shelves, and apparently there was an error. The main cover and the 1 in 25 variant were flip-flopped. Diamond has said they're going to replace all of them with corrected copies. Was it necessary to do that?
No, not at all. I thought maybe at first I was like, okay, if they're going to pull the books and make you send them back, that makes sense. But they're like, no, just keep the books. It's cool. We'll just do a 7th printing. Which is insane, a 7th printing of that book.
Well, they're still going to call it a 6th printing, and
it's so I
don't understand how it wouldn't be a 7th printing, but
yeah, as much as I love what Tynion's doing, and as good as that story is, it's way overkill at this point. There's I don't think any book ever needs to have that many printings.
Does a 6th printing need a 1 in 25 and a 1 in 50 variant?
No, why are we doing variants on 6th printings? That's
Marvel started
crazy.
that.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird to me because I feel like it's our fault.
Yeah.
It's the consumer's fault because they're buying these books. Some of those later printings are worth more than the first printings at this point. We're totally feeding into that as the consumers and collectors, and I think it's a silly practice. And
So the next topic we're going to discuss is something in the same vein. But before we get to that, Eric Stevenson and I believe Jim Valentino a couple years ago had said that Image would not fall into the trap of variant covers, and that seems to have been thrown out the window over the last couple years. They said that they were going to continue to focus on good stories, and it really is bothersome because Image is putting out so many good stories.
Yeah.
I don't think they need to fall into the same hole as like DC and Marvel are.
I don't think any of them really need to fall into that hole. I mean, at this point, it's getting a bit ridiculous with...
I think DC is a little bit more calm with it. Like, they do the 1 in 25s, but they don't... Marvel has, like, variants, like, on every single...
So many. And I feel like it makes it hard for people. People have to make tough choices. You know what I mean? Not everybody has unlimited funds to buy comics with, and if you're
not just the consumer, the stores also.
The stores,
because they have to consider like, the next topic. I had to consider whether I was going to up my order by 10 times what I would normally do it in order to get a special cover, and I was like.
And I also think that people don't quite grasp that concept from the consumer standpoint of like, there's certain books that you have to order 50 copies of to get one variant, so you're out a bunch of money before you even sell it, like hoping you can get your money back as a store owner.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah, it's a total balancing act. But there and again, like, we only have ourselves to blame for it, and I say we as a community, because we're feeding into it, and people are scrambling for these books.
With Department of Truth, it's just recoloring of...
it's not even like they're really doing anything different. It's just like, do you want a yellow version of this book or a red version or a blue version? You're not getting anything else out of it. Like, I could see, what was it, a book that came out a couple weeks ago that had that little preview in the back of House of Slaughter. Was it Basilisk?
Basilisk number 1, second printing.
The second printing. Like, I kind of get behind that. Like, that's cool. At least there's something extra in there for you to try to, like, get that book. But I also feel like, as someone who, gets books weekly and tries to keep up, like, you're almost getting penalized for buying a book on New Comic Day. Yeah, because now you got to chase a second printing to find something else. Like, it's just gotten to the point where it's like overkill. And it's the same thing that happened in the 90s.
It can drive people out of it.
And it can drive people out, and it drives prices up, and now you have people that are spending a lot of money on these variants that just aren't going to hold value.
And let's come back to that in the next topic, because I think that we're getting a little bit off of what this one's supposed to be. In terms of replacing the comics, I don't think it was purely necessary. People still got a 1 in 25. People still got like their regular cover. I feel like apparently there is going to be something in the barcode that indicates that it's
that's like the corrected printing or whatever. Yeah, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I feel like the move should have just been to like release them and be like, this is what it is. Cool, deal with it.
Or call this a 7th printing.
Yeah, or call it a 7th printing. Yeah, I don't understand. And they're making a big deal about this is the 6th and final printing.
Apparently not.
Yeah, I guess we're going one more, kids. Which also means that there's going to be a ton of those books out there, which is going to drive down prices overall and yada, yada, yada. So
there's people that are going hardcore for those errors, and I'm like, they're not really, I don't know.
Really errors. It's silly.
I will tell people, if as a store, I know some people are going to be like, why would you even say that? But save your money and buy a book that's like a key or a semi-key or one that's potential to, or buy 3 or 4 other books and start.
Or buy one of the other 5 printings of the book.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm not bad mouthing if you really want it, or if you're a completist.
Oh yeah, if you're a completist and that's where you want to go, by all means, you know what I mean. I chase Jenny Frison covers like they're going out of style.
I just feel bad.
Yeah, it seems a little silly.
Yeah. So we'll turn the page on that one, though, and we'll go to the sister topic to that one, and that was the Todd McFarlane and Spawn are seemingly regaining their popularity of the 90s. King Spawn is only weeks away. One of the things that he was incentivizing retailers with was a 1 in 250 variant. That one was pretty cool, and that it was going to be signed and numbered by Todd McFarlane. He promises that he will never sign that comic again.
Never.
I assume any of that, well, not just that cover, but any of the covers from the sound of it, or else it just wouldn't make sense to.
Yeah, and he went into great detail in that incredibly great video that he put out.
So, again, are such incentives good for the industry? That's the.
It's a very double-edged sword. I think that having variety and doing something cool, especially with a book like that, for him, it makes sense. I know we've talked about this a whole bunch, and we both kind of agree that Spawn fans are going to Spawn, and it doesn't really matter what he does; they're going to chase it.
Mm-hmm. They pay obscene amounts of money for some of the low print run issues.
It's kind of wild. I kind of wish the story was worth it, but it's really not, in my opinion. I think that the 250 variant is, I mean, it's guaranteed to be a $1,000 book out the box, which is wild to me, but it is what it is. I think that ordering 250 copies of that book just to get the one that he's going to sign and number.
And also the 5.
Yeah, the 5 1 in 50s. Yeah. So like just like doing the quick math on it, like it's a little over $1,500, $1,600 or something like that, just to get like the one book, I think.
So if customers order 250 copies in order to get it, it would be $1,500. Right. Retailers would be at about a little under half of that.
Right.
Depending on their discount tier, because there are different discount tiers.
But you're sitting on 250 copies of that book.
Yes.
So you're saturating the market with it. So it means, in theory, that anything other than that 1 in 250 variant and maybe the 1 in 50 variant of it are going to be garbage. They're going to be dollar books.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at like a collector standpoint of something that's going to hold value, you're killing the value of that book because you've put out 1 million of them. Also, for people who are big Spawn fans and want a chance to get that book, unless you're going to come off $2,000, $1,000, you're out of luck. So it's cool to make something that, you want to be special and limited and whatnot. But at the same time, like, I feel like the better move is to make something a little more accessible for people who don't have that money or don't want to spend that much money on a Spawn book.
Yeah, like I said, Eric Stevenson and I'm pretty sure Jim Valentino had both said that Image was going to shy away from this sort of thing. And now it seems like they're going in whole hog. It seems like they're following the Boom thing with Berserker. Now, I will say that one of the best things that come out of this was the video that gave you and I a heart attack.
God, so amazing. I could listen to Todd McFarlane talk just about nonsense because he just feels like an old grandpa to me now at this point. Like,
yeah.
Just let the Todd.
Well, he gave us a heart attack because.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have watched the Instagram video, but it looked like he was signing the issue. But he was manhandling those books. Like,
manhandling's underplaying it. Like, he was not being kind to those things that were in front of him that we thought were books at first, but they weren't. But
thankfully, they were just photocopies or something that he had.
Also, the painstaking detail that he went through to describe his process of signing his name and numbering those books.
I'm going to take a book off the top of the stack. I'm going to put it in front of me. I'm going to sign my name.
Sharpie. It was like so.
Step by step.
But I'm surprised he told us he was flying to Diamond to sign them. I'm surprised he didn't give us his flight number.
When he was going to arrive.
Yeah, it was like a very hilarious 20 minutes of my day.
Except for the tears when you saw.
Oh yeah, when he was just.
And then he ripped it.
When he ripped it in half, I was like, "Oh my God!" It turned out it was just a copy of the cover of the book, but he didn't go into that. I'm not super hyped on the art for that cover. I know a lot of people dug it. I thought it was kind of an awkward pose, and I wasn't too incredibly hyped on it. But,
I gotcha. So, I feel a little bit differently from this one than Berserker, because I feel like, Todd McFarlane is involved in the industry deeper than Keanu Reeves.
He's super, super passionate about Spawn. That's his baby. Yeah.
So I feel like it's a little bit different. I do wish it weren't at 1 in 250. I understand why he put such a high ratio on it because he doesn't want to sign 1 billion comics that day.
I wish it was almost like a one per retailer exclusive. I feel like that would have been a little kinder to the retailers and the customers.
Gotcha.
But And all in all, if you're going to chase that book, you know what it's going to cost. And if you're a Spawn fan, you probably don't care.
I think it's going to be higher than the 1,000 that you said because the Spawn.
I think it's just started. I think it's going to be $1,000 off the top, but it's going to go
Because the Spawn fans
higher.
are going to be so rabid about it.
It's going to go.
Oh, and CGC is authenticating all of the ones. Apparently, they're going to be there when he signs them. So.
That was my other question: is like if it was going to come, like how do you get that, sign? How do you get a yellow label on that?
Yeah.
But that makes sense.
Yeah. So they're gonna, and also if your book is damaged, that was a cool thing that they're doing is they're doing 2 copies of every single one. So if your copy is damaged, they'll send you a replacement one and they'll destroy the one that you send back to them.
I do feel like it was pretty thought out on his part. Like he really was like trying to, in his own mind, like do something special and cool. And I think it is kind of special and cool. It's
and then
just,
you get a 9.8 copy. I mean, it sounds like that he's like, if you're spending this money on it, I want you to get.
And I like that he like put the forethought into that to be like, you're gonna want this to be a 9.8 when you slab it because you're gonna slab it. Like nobody's keeping that book raw.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm kind of torn on it. I think
I think I am too. And
overall, I decided not to do the 250 copies. I couldn't justify ordering that many copies.
I tried to talk you into it just for grins, but didn't work.
No. So we'll turn the page on that topic, and we'll turn on to the next one, which is the death of Doctor Strange is rapidly approaching, promising new villains. What do you think of the upcoming new characters?
When I read the solicit for it, I got kind of excited because I hate horror. I'm like you, I hate horror books. I don't read any horror at all. And they were kind of hyping that it was this new spooky trio of baddies, and they were going to be these terrible things. And then I saw the pictures of it and was elated. And I hated the character design. I think they look silly.
So I think that there's a lot of potential for it. They did compare them to the Black Order for Thanos. So if you're a speculator, I think that there's a lot of potential there. I will say for readers, though, I think that there's going to be something big that happens in this because Doctor Strange has been tied to Spider-Man. He's found out about the deal with Mephisto. I think a lot of this is going to, and Spider-Man's dying at the same time. So I think that all this is going to tie together, and we're going to see something huge come out of it. So I think that speculators and readers are going to get some big juicy parts out of this.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know whether you agree with the.
I agree with you on that standpoint. I think that from a speculation standpoint, it's probably something to maybe invest in or check out. I think it's going to have big ramifications across the Marvel Universe. Other than that, I don't know. I mean,
I think their overall goal is to age Peter Parker back to where he was so that Miles can stand out on his own even further. So that they have the more adult version and then the more high school, college age version out there as well.
We've talked about that before and how much I hate that. I think we should just leave Peter Parker alone.
Well,
I really do.
Like I said, I just feel like this is setting up.
I think it's setting up big things in the Marvel Universe, coming off King in Black and all the craziness that's going on with that. I think it's also a little corporate, maybe is my word, where they're like, hey, we haven't put a Doctor Strange movie out in a while. Please care about Doctor Strange again. We'll kill him off. Blah,
well, I think
blah,
the
blah.
first problem is they have Mark Waid, who is a boring writer, but he used to be good.
Yeah, I also felt like maybe with them hyping this the way they are, and it's supposedly being this huge thing, that they maybe would have put another writer on it.
Yeah, somebody big.
Yeah, you would think. But
I don't know who's writing Death of Doctor Strange. I didn't look at the solicits for that. I assume it's not.
The name escapes me at the moment, and that's, I think the point is that you would.
Oh,
think
it was McKay.
Yeah.
Jed McKay.
Yeah. I think they would have maybe put somebody a little better on that, or maybe someone with some more hype. I don't know.
Donny Cates,
especially because his Doctor Strange run before was actually really good. Yeah. It's one of the few Donny Cates books that I actually will back. So that was a little weird to me. Also, I guess kudos for them for kind of trying to go dark again a little bit.
Yeah.
Which DC seems to be doing very well right now. So it's something maybe worth a glance. Maybe wait for a trade to come out if you're not like trying to chase.
Yeah, I think there's some big
but
things that are going to come out of it. I
Yeah.
think that well, we will see, but
We
we'll
will
see whether
see.
my prediction is correct. That I
Weird
think this will
spaghetti monster with a statue head.
exactly.
I don't know. You're like, it's terrifying. I was like, this isn't terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, the headline for that article did not do
It's super bad.
it any favors. But,
Yeah. No.
we will turn the page on that topic, and we'll finish on one that I think you were pretty excited about when I told you the topic, and that's every collector has certain covers that evoke deep emotions in them. They know where they were when they read that comic. They immediately remember the storyline through and through, and the feelings that they felt when they read it. What are the top 3 covers for you? We'll do one at a time for each of us.
Yeah, that was. I think the look on my face was like the sheer terror of like the overwhelming amount of like, how do I pick 3 covers that
Mean something to you?
Yeah, because there's so many. In no particular order. I guess the first one, and I guess it needs a little explanation, is Moon Knight 1,
Okay.
the Jeff Lemire Smallwood run from 2016, I think. I kind of thought about covers that kind of changed the way I looked at comic art, and that one was definitely one of them. It's not an expensive book. It's still a cover price book. There's probably 50 copies in the store. But just the way that he drew that cover, and that run is amazing. Jeff Lemire killed it. Like with that super stark white and his like very limited use of like color and black lines, but like it conveys so much emotion that I think he tapped into really well on that book, and especially dealing with like his Moon Knight's psychological and like mental illness. Like he super dove into that, and it's the first time that anyone has really kind of taken him seriously and dove into that. And I think that cover like conveys that. It's like looking at art. It gives you like it gave me a feeling like I could feel the crazy coming off of it, and it's so minimal. It really made me change the way I look at like artwork in a comic book form.
Gotcha.
So that's why it hit my list.
My number 1 is Superman 75, Death of Superman.
Big surprise.
Our cameraman is shaking his head in disgust and dismay. The
almost full-blown argument before we started filming.
So there were both of them I liked. The black bag with like the bloody Superman symbol, but also just the Superman on the regular cover, the Superman cape just blowing in the wind on the stick.
It's super iconic for sure. Yeah.
So as I say often, like this was the storyline that really got me into comics. It made me like respect like what comics could be in terms of the repercussions of what happens afterwards.
It was a big deal. Yeah.
Millions and millions of copies of that book sold. But so that was one of my picks.
I guess my second one is Silver Surfer 1, the original Bashima cover. Didn't come into that one like till later on. I think I gained an appreciation for that like Ditko style space amazingness that is those books.
Normally people choose number 4 for Silver Surfer.
I don't know, man. 1 just did it for me. It encompasses everything that is that crazy acid trip of Marvel Universe in space.
Yeah.
Just him on the board, like going over Sentinel of the Spaceways, you know what I mean? That one did it for me for sure. Yeah. I love that one.
So number 2 for me is Green Lantern 49, going back to the Death of Superman sort of storyline. This is Hal Jordan displaying the hardware as he has killed all of the Green Lanterns, wearing all of their rings. Starting his descent into madness and becoming an actual relevant character that mattered.
You say that like angrily though. I feel like you're not happy about it. You're
No,
like mad.
what makes me angry is that they took him back to being a boring character that nobody cares about. When he was a bad guy, he was far more interesting,
I'll give you that.
and he was also sympathetic because he did the things that he did to try and fix what had gone wrong. He wasn't trying to do it out of malice or
Right.
things like that. But no, that cover though, with his like gleeful madness and his smile, and he's just showing all the rings like
It's
Tom
always
Brady.
fun when the good guys do bad things, I think. Yeah.
So that's my number 2 pick.
I guess my number 1 is Amazing Spider-Man 361. That was the first, like, I don't know, real comic that I bought as a kid. I remember, like, riding my bike to the store and picking it off the spinner rack and just seeing Carnage with, like, Spider-Man.
This Carnage guy's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah. And I don't know. To me, it was like you always saw, like, there was, like, the hero, like, fighting on the cover or whatever, and you were like, man, like, that dude's beating that bad guy up. And that was kind of the first time for me that I had seen, like, a hero in peril like that. And the Carnage design was really cool. So that book definitely, like, kind of kicked it all off.
I think it also allowed Venom to become more of a between character, like because now they had a bad guy to kind of replace him.
And it kind of let them take Venom in that, like, kind of hero, anti-hero. Like, Carnage is definitely a bad dude. I think that was, like, I think that was the first book that I bought that I actually was like...
They saw the money in Venom, and they were like, we can do more with this character.
Yeah. And I've owned so many copies of that book and sold so many copies. It's weird. Yeah. But, yeah, that's definitely one of them.
Venom 361 is definitely a skyrocketing book right now.
They all are, yeah.
So my number 3 pick is it's one that I'm mixed about the story, and I'll get to that in a second. But it was Amazing Spider-Man number 36. It came out after September 11th. It has the full black cover. Yeah. The story wasn't that great in that it was good in terms of, everybody coming together and kind of like showing their emotion regarding September 11th. The only thing I didn't like about it was, like, Dr. Doom was there also. I'm like, he would cry because he didn't think about it. Like, he didn't think
There's
of it.
There's more dimension to Doom than that. Come on. Yes, there is.
But, and then Kingpin also. Now, Kingpin I understand because it's his
Somebody's
city.
Not reading the current Fantastic Four run.
What's that?
So you're not reading the current Fantastic Four run.
I am not.
You should be.
Oh.
Okay. You probably feel a little bit differently about Dr. Doom.
Well, at that point.
Okay, at that point.
he was there shedding a tear over it, and like I said, I don't think he would necessarily have shed a tear for it.
Even Doom has feelings.
Not really bad ones towards people, but yeah. But again, that's just an iconic cover at this point. And the 20th anniversary of September 11th is just around the corner now. So
it's always cool when they make, like, comics relevant to the
what's going on
world. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So those are my 3. Your 3 were pretty cool.
It's hard to do 3.
Yeah.
Gosh.
You had a couple more that you were.
Oh yeah, 1,000,000. I could do 100.
You could do a whole Jenny Frizen.
I could probably do that. Yeah.
So we will turn the page on that topic, though. Maybe we'll come back to that one later. Maybe we'll do the top 3 for different things that we.
Top 3 we hate.
Top 3 we hate. I don't want to do that. So we'll turn the page on that topic. And just a reminder one more time to LCS, like, comment, and subscribe to your LCS, Brainstorm Comics and Gaming, by clicking on the logo in the lower right-hand corner. Thank you for watching. Let us know what your top 3 covers are that kind of evoke something in you. We are very interested in hearing that. So thank you for watching and have a good day.
Buy more comics.
Hello, this is John with Brainstorm Comics and Gaming, and we have a special giveaway this week. We have New Teen Titans number 1. This was donated by Chris. Can you feel the love tonight? You can feel the love by winning his book. Like I said, this is New Teen Titans number 1. Also, added bonus in this, it is signed by George Perez on the first page. We will have the raffle link in the description. So all you have to do is click on there, and then you can get your different ways to enter down there. We will do the winner for this one. What do you want to do, Chris? 2 weeks out from this?
Yeah, let's do 2 weeks.
Okay, so we'll do it on August 27th. We will have the winner announced on that. All right, so thank you for watching, and don't forget to enter to win the New Teen Titans number 1, signed by George Perez.